हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। शिला प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे हरे
कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे
चैतन्य
हरे राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे हरे
कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे हरे
कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे हरे
कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Shila Prabhupada
जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा श्रील प्रभुपदा
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol
हरि बोल
Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol
निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल
Jai Gaura Premanande Shila Prabhupada Ki
because of circumstance, mainly my forgetfulness, I'm going to have to leave promptly at 7:30 or 7:28 because there's another class I'm supposed to give circumstantially. So I will begin and people will come when people come, and I'll end at 7:28. This is a continuation of visit to Haridwar, Rishikesh, and Badrinath. And the plan was that we were going to visit the places that you're going to be seeing this evening. Very close to Badrinath is a place called Hanuman Chatti. It's very simple. As you see, it's in the middle of the mountains. It's not a big touristy place, but it's a very special place. It's a place where Bhima met Hanuman. And there's a photograph of the place. Here's where it looks like on the map. And if you see on the far right, there's a circle around the place, Hanuman Chatti. And if you see up on the left, that's a peak of a mountain. That's two-dimensional, and here it is three-dimensional. Going down and then going up. So it depends on the season, but there's pretty much snow on the snow-capped mountain all the time. And it's not far from this mountain peak. We didn't climb the mountain, but just a map to show, to give an indication where the place is. In Mahabharata, chapter 26, there's this description of Hanuman meeting Bhima. And just to give a little background, in chapter 25, we find the Pandavas' exile has ended. The Pandavas' exile has ended. And as was predicted at Arjun's birth, we'll hear a little bit about that. It was predicted in the ceremony at his birth that he would go to the heavenly realm, attain celestial weapons in preparation for the Kurukshetra war. So he understood, not that it was prophesied to assist him in the Kurukshetra war, but he would be given celestial weapons. So he went with the purpose of performing austerities to please various demigods, so the demigods would award him with celestial weapons, and that's what happened. The first one to indicate his pleasure was Lord Shiva, and we see in this painting Lord Shiva is giving a gift to Arjuna, his Pashupat weapon. And then in turn Yamaraj appeared and offered his personal weapon, a celestial mace. And Varuna, similarly, gave his Naga Pasha nooses. The carrier of Varuna is a crocodile, so that's supposed to be a crocodile, in case you couldn't figure out what kind of a creature that one is. Kuvera gave him his Antardhana weapon, which could baffle and render unconscious even mighty asuras. And others came, Indra came, others came and gave weapons. And that's chapter 25. In chapter 26 of Mahabharata, this section, Nomasharishi, a celestial sage, he visited the place the ashram where the Pandavas, the remaining 4 Pandavas, were staying, Kamyaka ashram, and he volunteered to take the 4 remaining brothers on pilgrimage to holy tirthas. They were very happy, and they immediately left. And the first place they went to was the Himalayas. So they're carrying the water pot of mendicants and wood in case they have to have some fire, because they're heading in the North Country. And in time, but Draupadi also went with them. They went to Badrik Ashram by foot. It's a long trek. And you see in the background waterfalls and mountains and deer, and it's kind of wilderness up there. And in the course of their residing there for some time, Draupadi suddenly received a flower, a 1,000 petal lotus flower that came floating down the Alakananda River. So here's meant to be an illustration of 1,000 petal lotus flower that she found. And she was very charmed. And she then presented that lotus flower, showed it to Bhima, and remarked, this is in Mahabharata, Bhima, this lotus flower is so beautiful. I should offer it to Yudhisthira Maharaj. Could you get me a few more? Wherever that lotus flower came from, there must be a reservoir of lotus flowers. Can you find the reservoir and get some more? So Bhima was very happy to have nice service to do for Draupadi. With club in hand, Bhima charged up the hill in place where no mortals, it says no mortals were permitted, but it wasn't a place that was regularly inhabited by anybody other than the celestials. Because remember, Hari Dwara is the gateway to Hari's abode, and celestials are known to inhabit these upper regions. So he ran. He didn't just stroll. He ran, and he was bellowing and making a loud noise, frightening the elephants and lions. And he uprooted trees and pushed the trees aside. And as he was moving, not caring for the ferocious beasts of the jungle, he climbed up a steep mountain until his progress was blocked by a huge monkey. He didn't know it was Hanuman, at least not immediately. But Hanuman said, "Young man, why do you make so much noise? Most of the animals in this region were sleeping peacefully, and now have you awakened them? Please be more considerate." And Bhima was surprised. I never heard of a talking monkey before. "May I know who you are? What monkey speaks like a human being?" There was, remember when Ramchandra and Lakshman first met Hanuman, how eloquent and eloquent his speech was. So they noticed the same. "What monkey speaks like a human being? You must be some demigod in disguise." Then he introduced himself. "As for myself, I am the son of Vayu, and my mother is the chaste Kunti. My name is Bhima, and I am one of the Pandavas." So with this nice introduction, the monkey replied, "I've grown too old to move, and most of the time I simply lie here." Notice there's tiny Hanuman trying to lift the tail of the monkey, because that's what's coming up. Now, some of the artwork is, well, there's different artwork. "If you insist on going further, then you can do so by leaping over my body." Bhima rejected the idea. Because Super Soul resides in everyone's heart, he said, if I didn't have the sense of etiquette, I would have jumped over you long ago. just like the great Hanuman did when he crossed the sea to Lanka. And the monkey said, "Who is this Hanuman who bounded over the ocean? You speak of him with respect. His name comes with affection from your mouth. Have you met him before? Can you relate something about him?" And Bhima exclaimed, "You are a monkey and you don't know who Hanuman is? Hanuman is the greatest of all monkeys. He is also the son of the wind god Vayu and is therefore my esteemed brother." Now this much Bhima knows, because Hanuman was before him. He knew that he was the son of Vayu, and he's also the son of Vayu. He knows that. He is famed for his devotion to Lord Ramachandra. Now here's another disproportionate detail and how big Bhima is. But the monkey smiled calmly when he saw Bhima's impatience. He said, "Please do not be angry with me. I tell you the truth when I say that I'm too old to move from the spot. If my tail obstructs your path, then just move it aside and go on your way." This is a nice painting. The monkey sleeping. Bhima's using all of his strength, the strength of 10,000 elephants, and he couldn't move the monkey's tail. Now he's really bewildered. He respectfully inquired from Hanuman about his identity. Now this painting is quite different. It shows a small monkey and skinny tail. This painting is much better. But it's an illustration. He went before the monkey and prostrated himself, saying, "Please forgive my harsh words. Out of ignorance, I have transgressed the conduct of good behavior towards elders. Your power is greater than mine." So there's Hanuman trying to lift his tail, and here's a sculpture, Hanuman trying to lift his tail. The monkey smiled at him and said, "I will gladly tell you who I am. I am the son of the wind god, Hanuman." With these words, they tightly embraced each other, and tears of joy came from their eyes. So Hanuman was just playing and testing and examining. Here's a nice painting indicating the three sons of Vayu. As Hanuman was the son of Vayu and Bhima was the son of Vayu, at least amongst the followers of Madhvacharya, they also understand he was the son of Vayu. And in Madhvacharya's writings, he likes Bhima a lot. He likes Hanuman a lot. But, he has a Mahabharata commentary, Tatparya Nirnayas of Mahabharata, and he extols, glorifies Bhima like anything. So, before their departure, Hanuman bestowed a boon on Bhima. There's the boon taken from Mahabharata. "Staying on the victory flag of Arjuna, I will shout out fiercely in such a way that it will make the enemies almost lifeless, and thus it will be easy for him to kill them." And so, sure enough, Hanuman became situated on the flag of Arjuna's chariot. Now here's an example of Madhvacharya's commentary on Mahabharata. When it comes to the fact that Hanuman was on his flag, he claims, or he writes, that when Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, he was really speaking to Hanuman. I mean, Arjuna was incidental and Hanuman was primary. That's how partial Madhvacharya is to Hanuman. So there's the story of Hanuman and Madhvacharya meeting, the place where that happened. We visited that place. And now the second part of this evening's presentation is King Pandu's experience in the Himalayas. And this story is well known as well, maybe more well known, but confirmed also in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th canto, Vichitravirya, an arrangement was made by Bhima, to arrange for wives of his brothers. And so when it came to Vichitravirya's wives, there were three. One of them decided no, because she wanted to marry. Who did she want to marry? Huh? No. When Amba and Ambika and Ambalika were brought to marry Vichitravirya, Shalya. So he said, no problem, you can go back and marry Shalya. That's another story. Shalya said, you've been touched by another man. We both wanted to marry one another, but you've been touched by another man, so I won't marry you. So she went back to Vichitravirya, and because she had been touched by Bhishma, then you should marry me. No, I can't marry you. I've taken a vow to not marry. Then the whole other thing happened. That's another episode. So these two did marry, Ambika and Ambalika. According to the Bhagavatam, a little different in Mahabharata, but according to the Bhagavatam, because he was too attached to these two wives, he had a heart attack and died of tuberculosis. I mean, if you have a heart attack, you die of a heart attack. If you have tuberculosis, you die of tuberculosis, but that's not what it says. But that's what the Bhagavatam says. So what to do? Vichitravirya was to become the successor king, and the mother of Vichitravirya, Satyavati, she was very concerned. And so she wanted the two wives of Vichitravirya to bear children that could then become the successor king. You know the story from Mahabharata. You know the story? Kind of? Not really. No. It's okay. It goes like this. She said, Satyavati said, it's Vedic that the brother can produce a child in the wife of in the womb of the wife if the husband is unable or is deceased. The brother. Otherwise, it's sin, but it's permissible for particularly for Kshatriyas, that's a way the succession of kingship can happen. So she indicated that her other son, so Satyavati's other son, was Bhishma. So they agreed. But Bhishma didn't agree. So Satyavati said, you have to. And he said, I won't. He said, but please remember, you have another son. Before I was born, you had another son named Vyas. You know the story. No, you don't know the story. Satyavati was the daughter of a fisherman. Satyavati was the daughter of a fisherman. And she smelled like a fish. Gandha, Matsya Gandha was her name. She smelled like a fish. Not nice. So one time, this is Vishnu Purana. One time, Parashara Muni wanted to travel across a river. So he got in a boat. The boat that was available was Matsyagandha's boat. And he got in the boat. He was making an astrological calculation. And he calculated that right at that very moment, an incarnation of the personality of Godhead would appear. So he requested Satyavati, would you become the mother and I'll be the father? And she said, we're not married. We can't have children. And he said, no, it's okay. I can produce a child in such a way you don't lose your virginity. And she said, well, we're right in the middle of the river and we're in a boat. He said, don't worry. I can create an island, a dvipa, and no one will see. Well, I'll be walking around pregnant for some period of time. Don't worry. The child will be born right away. All her objections were answered, and so she agreed. So Vyasadeva was conceived on an island. So therefore, Dvaipayana Vyas, the son of Parashara, and Satyavati. Say it again. Vyasadeva is the son of Parashara Muni and Satyavati. So after Vyas was born, Parashara gave her the benediction. You'll no longer smell like a fish. You'll smell very, very wonderful. Your fragrance will change. And you now have a son. You're the mother of Vyas. Krishna, Dvaipayana Vyas. And when the girl came back and told her father, Dad, let me tell you what happened today. And there was another benediction given by Parashara. Your next son will become the king. Your next son will become the king. When you do get married, your son will become the king. So the king, Santanu, became attracted to Satyavati. So her name changed from Matsyagandha to Satyavati. So when Bhima, when Satyavati, when the king, who was already married, became a Santanu, was already married, he became attracted to Satyavati. So he went respectfully to the father and said, I would like the hand of your daughter in marriage. I'm the king. And the father said, no. Why no? I'm the king. He said, because my daughter has this benediction that her son will become the king, and you already have a son. So my son will not become the king, or my daughter's son will not become the king, so the answer is no. Santanu was already smitten with love and wanting to marry the girl, and he went back and he became morose, and his son, Bhima, saw what's going on and found out why. So he went to the fisherman and said, please marry my father. I'm the elder son, and I'll take a vow that I will not marry. And so that wasn't good enough. You won't take the position of a king. No, won't take the position of king. So he took these vows, and then later, so now back to what you see on the screen, Satyavati has asked her son, Bhima, to produce children with these two queens of Vichitravirya. And he said, no. But you have another son. Oh, yeah. My other son is Krishna Dvaipayana Vyas. Because Bhishma knew. Not everybody knew, but Bhishma knew. So invite him and he can produce children. So when they got him, a messenger was sent. No, here's how it happened. When Vyas left his mother, shortly after he was born, he had full human stature or adult stature. He said, anytime you need me, just call my name. So she called his name, and voila, there was Vyas. Mother, some service? Yes. I want you to produce children in the womb of your brother's wives. He said, Mother, I was in the midst of austerities and I'm unclean, and but it must be done. It must be done. It must be done. Okay, it must be done. So Vyas was to beget children in the womb of these two ladies, Ambika and Ambalika. And the third was the maidservant. So here's what happened. When Vyas entered the room, she was expecting Bhishma. When she didn't see Bhishma, but she saw this disheveled, dirty-looking personality, she closed her eyes. So when the child was conceived by Vyas, a child that was born was blind. And when it came to Ambalika, when she saw him, she didn't close her eyes. She saw this Vyasadeva and she paled. So he was frightening looking. And so the second child that was born was pale, named Pandu, the pale one. Pandu means the pale one. And because Satyavati was kind of insistent that just in case there's some complication, then Ambalika, Amba, can you do it again? And she said, she sent instead, Ambalika sent a maid. The maid was just fine, having a son with Vyasadeva, fantastic. And so Vidura was born, the son of the maidservant. So those are the three: Dhritarashtra, Pandu, and Vidura. So Dhritarashtra, being blind from birth, he was disqualified from being king, and Vidura could become the king because he was born of a servant girl. And so Pandu was the right one. He became the king. And he was installed on the Kuru throne because Vichitraviri was to be the next king, but he's now dead. So later, as he grew and became mature, Pandu became the next king, and very powerful king. So now it became a service of Bhishma to find wives for each of his brothers. So Dhritarashtra, arrangement was for her to marry Gandhari, the princess of the king of Kandahar. When she came to know that the man she was going to marry was blind, she blindfolded herself for the rest of her life, with one exception, as you know, to give power and strength to her son Duryodhana. Then there was the marriage of Bhishma Dev, made arrangement for Pandu to marry Kunti. These are very nice paintings, aren't they? So Kunti, little history, this Mahabharata complex history. She wasn't, she was born of another father, Shurasena, who is Shurasena. You need to know who Shurasena is to understand the dynasty of the Yadus. You need to know who Shurasena is. So Shurasena had a daughter, and the daughter was given the name Pritha because Shurasena was requested by his friend, King Kuntiboja. King Kuntiboja said, I don't have any children. You have a daughter, Pritha. Can you give your daughter to me and I can adopt her and raise her? And he agreed, Shurasena. So that's how the Pandavas are connected. How the Pandavas are connected to the Yadu dynasty. They're in the Kuru dynasty, but their mother is from the Yadu dynasty. So there's a connection, dynasty connection. It's important later as things unfold. So Pritha then became the daughter of Kuntiboja, and Kunti became her name. So she was like the stepfather or adopted father of Kunti. And Kunti's service in the kingdom of Kuntiboja was to receive guests. She was the hospitality lady. And one of the persons that she greeted and served so nicely was one that everybody was afraid of, but she wasn't. She just served Durvasa Muni so nicely. This is before her marriage to Pandu. He was able to understand that she would not be able to have children in the normal way that ladies have children. So she gave him a blessing. She gave him a mantra. He gave her a mantra. And with this mantra, you can call any demigod, and the demigod will produce a child with you, because you're going to have problems later. Correct? Anybody lost? You're okay. Okay, good. It's a little complex. It's Mahabharata complex, but it's okay. So the first son was the son of the sun god. This is before she was married. She was a curious girl. She used the mantra calling the sun god, and sure enough, the sun god appeared. Oh my God. And, he had to, because he was called, he was obliged, and she was afraid. He said, don't worry. You can conceive a child while maintaining your virginity. The child will be born through your ear. Thus his name was Karna. Now let's go back to Pandu. Pandu, one time, he's married to Kunti and Madri, and he was in the forest hunting, and he shot a male deer when the male deer and the female deer were mating. And when they saw the king with his bow and arrow drawn, they bolted and ran, but he quickly fired 5 arrows and killed the male deer. When the male deer fell down, he spoke in a human voice, saying, "Oh, how shameful! Even degraded men who are slaves to their senses never act so cruelly. How then have you, the king and the descendant of the noble Bharata race, acted so in conflict with Vedic ordinance?" The king felt justified. Here's what the king said. "As a king, it is my duty to hunt. I thus control the forest, making it safe for the rishis. And at the same time, I'm able to practice the kingly art of weaponry. And even great sages in the past have killed the deer in the forest by offering them in sacrifice. Oh, dear, why should you reprove me? Why should you chastise me this way?" So it turns out the deer that was speaking like a human wasn't a human after all. He was a rishi that had assumed the form of a deer. And the sage name was Kindama. And Kindama Rishi said, No creature should be attacked at the moment of intercourse. Your act was extremely cruel and sinful and is liable to lead you to hell. It is especially reproachful as you are a king and are meant to chastise the wicked and protect the tenets of Dharma. So he pronounced a very serious sentence or punishment. Seeing that the king was feeling very sorrowful, Kedimba, there he is, standing up on that hill there, speaking, looking down at the king. You need not fear the sin of killing a Brahmin, as you did not know my true identity. But you killed me when I was indulging in pleasure, so too you shall meet your death at such a time. Now Pandu's the king, and it's part of the duty of a king to produce offspring, to be successors to the king. So he felt really, really bad, and he admonished himself severely, decided to live the rest of his life in austerity. He declared that from that moment he would accept a vow of celibacy. The king asked his wives to return to the capital and inform his elders of this turn of events. There's the sage Kindama with an arrow in his chest. So both Kunti and Madri decided, let's together accept the order of Vanaprastha, go into the forest, we'll be happy practicing asceticism with you. So they didn't go back to Hastinapur. They traveled with him. And here's a map and some text showing where they traveled. You see the lower left, that's Hastinapur, and they're following along the path of the Ganges, going in a northerly direction. And together with his two wives, they went to their first stop, is shown right here on the map, Nagasata. See where that yellow arrow is, Nagasata. And then they went along the, what's it called? The foothills of the Himalaya mountains. Eating only roots and fruits, they crossed the Chaitra Rata, another mountain range in between two mountain ranges. And then Kalakuta finally arrived at Gandamadana. And then to Lake Indradumna, you see that pink arrow, the big body of water there, Lake Indradumna. Then crossed the Hansa Kuta Mountains, going back up to the left. And then this same, we saw this, the range of 100 peaks, and something happened. The Shatashringa, where he lived in Tapasya. So Shatashringa, we saw that photograph of the mountain way up, remember, towards the beginning? So Kunti informed her husband that when she was unmarried, she got this benediction. She didn't tell him about Karna, but she said, I have this mantra and I can produce children in this way. And so at her husband's request, the first son of Pandu, or what Pandu was married, was Yudhisthira, the elder brother. Then a second son, Bhima from Vayu, and the third son, Arjun from Indra. Pandu asked, is it possible that mantra can be given to Madri? So the mantra was given to Madri, and Madri also produced two sons. We'll see shortly. Now Pandu's giving the names. Yudhisthira will be very virtuous. He'll be splendid, determined, renounced, and famous throughout the three worlds. Bhima, supernatural strength, foremost of all strong men. Arjuna, a celestial voice from the sky pronounced "Oh, Kunti, this child will be as strong as Kartavirya and Shibi." Both were very powerful kings. "And as invincible in battle as Indra himself." It was announced when he was born, "He will spread your fame everywhere and acquire many divine weapons." So he knew that was part of what he was supposed to do, and we already heard about how he did that. And then there were two remaining of the Pandavas. Madri produced from the twin Ashwini Kumaras the two sons Nakula and Sahadev. However, misfortune came, and when Pandu became overwhelmed with lust, he tried to embrace Badri, who warned him against this curse of the sage, you'll die. He died trying to unite with Madri. And that's the end of this little section, because the section was the misfortune met by Pandu while they were in the Himalayas. And there's great sorrow over the loss. In the back, that's their fire burning the body of the king. And Kunti and her sons are in great despair. From the Mahabharata, we hear that the region where that big mountain that we saw way in the beginning, Shatashringa, and the bank of the Indradumna lake, to the east of Haridwar, is where Pandu left his body. Madhvacharya differs. In his Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnaya, that's his commentary on Mahabharata, Pandu, Kunti, Madri, and the Pandavas stayed at Narayana Ashram in Badrinath. So Mahabharata says one thing, Madhvacharya says something else. The age of Yudhisthira was around 16 and a half. Bhima was 1 year younger. Arjuna was 1 year younger than that. And it took them 16 days to get back to Hastinapur after the death of Pandu. And they were, they weren't received very warmly. That's another chapter of Mahabharata. And that's part 2 of 3. So now we're going to hear a little bit about Karna. We already heard a little bit about Karna, remember? He had mixed personality, how he became who he was before he was Karna. Dambodara. So Karna is said to have meditated for years at Karna Prayag. I've learned a number of things. This term Prayag just means a confluence of two major rivers. So besides the Prayag that everyone knows, there's the term, there's Pancha Prayag. We'll see that list of the 5. His purpose at Karna Prayag, he wanted boons to be very powerful in fighting. And we were supposed to go there, but we didn't go there. But here's a photograph of the place. Now, somebody sent me, somebody that made it by bus. The pictures that they sent were very, very similar to this. The different colors of the two rivers as they are combining and so forth. Very picturesque background scene. Karna, had a generous side. He gave the armor in which with his body was from childhood was born with as the son of Surya. He worshipped Surya at this place, Karna Prayag. And there's 5 of them. Here's the list of 5, in case you're interested. And here's the map showing where these 5 are. And Karna Prayag is right in the middle. Deva Prayag, Rudra Prayag, and then the other 2 further up north, Vishnu Prayag And the map shows the major branches of the rivers that are flowing from the southerly direction, from Yamunotri and Gangotri and Kedarnath and Badrinath, those four places have major rivers that come down and they merge. And where they merge, that's the Prayags. And Nand Prayag. Okay? And this Pancha Prayag, all of them are relatively near to Badrinath. Of course, Badrinath is up further north. So here's the history. Karna was the son of Surya when Kunti was born before she was married. There he is standing in the doorway. The son of Surya's was called Vasusena, blessed with wealth, because he was born with a golden coat of armor. Of course, had to expand because his body as a baby was really small. And apparently the armor grew as he grew. But Vasusena. And she was really embarrassed what to do. Although this amazing child, he also is named, besides he was born through the ear of Kunti, he had earrings that were very beautiful on his ear, so another reason he was called Karna. So she decided she couldn't maintain the child. How could she explain this to people? So she left it up to fate. She put the child in a basket and let the basket go drifting down the river. Painful, huh? Young unmarried Kunti sent off Karna in the waters of the Ganges. Very, very sad. Very, very sad. Lots of paintings indicating what she did. This one shows a treasure box, but it was a basket. And interestingly, a chariot driver named Atirata found the child drifting down the Ganga in a basket with his coat of armor on, etc., etc. So he came to his wife and presented the child to his wife. We have no children. Let us adopt this child. And so they agreed. And Karna then became known as the son of a Sudra. And they cared for him very nicely, even from childhood. However, he was very attracted to Kshatriya type of activities. He learned the art of weaponry even as a child. Very strong, very generous, resplendent. And although he belonged to this Sutta, not exactly Shudra, but Sutta class, carpenter and chariot driver, according to Adiparva, Karna wanted to become a Kshatriya. And he approached his father. His father said, I can't train you in Kshatriya skills. You're going to have to find a proper teacher. You can't do it alone. And so off he went, looking for the proper teacher to train him in warrior skills. That was his calling. That was his nature. When he reached the right age, he left home, searching for a proper guru. And every place he went, they rejected him because of his birth, the son of a charioteer. Some great misfortune happened. Here's the great misfortune that happened. While he was still young, he killed a cow while hunting with his bow and arrow. And the Brahmana who owned the cow cursed him. You're killing this cow. You will also meet, when you meet, you're some battle, and there's the greatest enemy. The wheel of your chariot is going to get stuck in the mud, and you won't be able to get your chariot wheel unstuck. And that was the curse of a Brahmana. And sure enough, that's what happened. The circumstance of Karna's being killed. Now he's still in search for a teacher. One of the teachers he went to was Dronacharya, and Dronacharya agreed to train him in basic Kshatriya skills, but not in the Divya Astras or divine weapons, according to Mahabharata. Or according to also Madhvacharya's commentary. He refused to teach him the divine astras. So Karna was in a second-class position, and he didn't want that. So he decided, let me go to Drona's teacher, Parshuram. Drona's guru was Parshuram. And when he went to, before he went to Parshuram, he decided that he would first do extended austerities, and by that austerities, please Parshuram. Now, there's a document that you can read about this, because it's already 7:24, and I have a class at 7:30, and I'm not going to finish in time. So I don't know what to do. But you can read the document. So he went to Parashuram, and he asked him, Parashuram asked him, what family are you from? He lied. He said, I'm from a Brahmin family. He had already made up his mind, from respectable, because Parshuram had favor through the Brahmanas and disfavor to the Kshatriyas. So he didn't say he was a Kshatriya, he said he was a Brahmana. And I've come to you to learn the art of weaponry. So he taught him, however, that gives the indication of where the place was, etc. And I'm in anxiety at 7:25, and I'm supposed to give another scheduled class at 7:30, and we're not going to finish. What to do? Huh? One or two questions. The unfinished. Well, I'll just say it quickly. Parashuram, Lord Parshuram had an experience where Parshuram was resting on the lap of his disciple, and a bug that was biting the leg of his disciple, drawing blood, and the blood started dripping on Parshuram. And Parshuram felt the blood. And he put two and two together and said, you're not a Brahmana. You wouldn't be able to bear this pain. You lied to me. So that Karna also got a curse. In addition from what the Brahmana said, Parshuram gave him a curse. You lied. You will forget the art of using the divine weapons taught by me when you are faced with your most hated enemy. So then he went back to be with Duryodhana. He helped Duryodhana attain a wife, and being grateful, Duryodhana gave him some land, the little mini kingdom to rule. Later, Karna had a big fight with Jarasandha and defeated Jarasandha. Really? Karna was a powerful hero. Jarasandha was impressed, and he also gave him some town within his kingdom to rule. So now, although he's born the son of a Sutta, he has two little kingdoms to rule. But then the intrigue goes further. It's 7:28. He was denied access to Draupadi Swayamvar, and so he became very angry at Draupadi, like really big time angry. He wanted to take revenge. That was the kind, the get back mentality. And so he was the one inspiring Dushasana to disrobe Draupadi. It was Karna. There's other details. Karna, a very complex person. I'm going to have to excuse myself. I don't know if we're going to do questions. As I said when I began, poor planning on my part, I just completely had a lapse of memory of this other class. So I'm going to go give another class. Nectar of Instruction, verse number 4. It's a very different mood. How to have transcendental relationships in spiritual life. That's nectar, verse number 4. Where am I supposed to go? Down this way? You lead me that way?